and welcome to part 3 of our 7-part behavioral investing series. Today, discussing confirmation bias. I am Chad Narani, a retirement plan consultant here at Benefit Financial Services Group. Now, what is confirmation bias? Right? It is when we look for information that supports our pre-existing opinion. In other words, we start with a view of a particular topic, and then we search for information that supports that view of our specific topic. So, one of my favorite quotes from the late, great Muhammad Ali, "I don't always know what I'm talking about, but I know I'm right." Now, how is that even possible? Right? So, now sticking with sports for a moment, consider when a referee makes a close call. Each respective team might consider it a good or a bad call, all depending on whether the call is in their favor or their opponent's, right? Just think about like whether it's football, basketball, baseball, right? You're that close to being out of bounds or inbounds, and right, the replay might be inconclusive, and there's certain rules around that. And if you had a microscope every time, you might be able to determine if the toe was on the line or not on the line, right? But naked eye, cameras from a long ways away might not always be able to determine that perfectly. So let's think about this in the news, right? When reporters are expected to be neutral and objective, at least in theory, we find out all the time the reality is different, right? It's evident in the selection of the stories they cover, the angle they present, the facts cited, and even the types of guests that are interviewed. And today this is remarkably evident in just the polarizing difference between Fox News and CNN, for example. Now, I'm not here to say which one's right, but mostly to encourage you to listen to both perspectives. Now, you might start out staunchly against one side or the other, but the more you listen to both, the more you might find that there's some commonalities between both sides. Now, let's bring this conversation to investing and how confirmation bias may impact your portfolio and decision-making process. First and foremost, as I already noted, this bias may lead investors to focus exclusively on information that reinforces their opinions about an investment, right? So, think selectively choosing which information to use just easily could lead to a lack of diversification and investments that are far too risky for your risk profile. An example, technology stocks. Now, if the information you consume constantly hypes up new technologies in the future, and all of those market leaders, you may find yourself loaded up on several different yet very similar companies, right? Think communication services, an easy place, right? Between Netflix and Disney and Hulu and all these different content gatherers and whatnot. If you really believe in that thesis, you might find yourself owning all of them at one time. Now, at the end of the day, technology in many cases may serve your portfolio remarkably well. And other times it may serve your portfolio very poorly to be loaded up on these. But most importantly, if you're looking to have a balanced approach to your portfolio, having too much of the almost identical type of investments just means a lack of diversification, right? Diversification to brands is not the same from diversification of ideas. So when working with clients, what we've found is that it all leads back to good communication and a focus on long-term goals, really to avoid some of these pitfalls of confirmation bias. But short of all of it, think strategically about your long-term goals and objectives, and try your best to consume information from all sides. Even better, try specifically searching for sources to prove your thesis wrong. After doing so, if you still believe your original thesis or idea, at least you know that you vetted every other possible alternative that you can think of. Lastly, don't let herding bias also be a source of confirmation bias. For that one, check out the next short on BFSG University. Thank you so much.